All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of the Arkansas Broadband Leaders Network, or ABLN. Happy to see everybody. It's a good day. It's Friday, which is always a good day. But it's also a good day because of updates around the BEAD program. So we'll talk about that in just a second. And let's go ahead and get started. If we do have anybody new on the call today, as we're walking through the presentation, please feel free to input questions into the chat box functionality, okay? And we'll have a session at the end where we'll address all questions from the call, whether it was information that our office puts out or if it's from the presentation from our content today, which will be fun. So in any event, let's go ahead and get started. So we'll have general updates first, then we'll have the presentation from today. The Arkansas Fiber Academy will get updates from Kyla and that team, which will be exciting. And then, as always, Q&A at the end. Okay, so quick update here on the Arkansas Broadband Leaders Network, or ABLN itself. So once the BEAD final proposal document, okay, which is, again, it's our statewide grant award document, listing all the awards statewide. I do want to have a disclaimer there, right? This is what we call preliminary selections. As we'll see in a second on our projected calendar and timeline for the BEAD program, it's not official until a couple of steps take place. All right, so we're going to put out our preliminary selections, who was selected by the state office for what, et cetera. That'll come out, we think, in a little bit, and we'll look at that in a second. In any event, once the document is submitted to NTIA for their approval, we're likely going to move these calls to once every 3 weeks, okay? I know we've been in this rotation of biweekly, every 2 weeks, having a call, and that's really been because we've been in the heart and the meat of building the BEAD program, okay? But once we put this document to NTIA for their approval, really, there won't be as much information coming out every so often. And so we're going to move these calls to once every 3 weeks, likely in September. We think as a team, that's going to be very much often enough to keep our momentum going and answer your questions once every 3 weeks, but without wasting your time with repetitive information, okay? So you can look forward to that. You don't have to hear us so often, which some folks will be excited. But anyway, we'll move these calls to once every 3 weeks, probably starting in September. All right, general BEAD updates across the program. Our application evaluations are complete. So next Monday, well, this coming Monday, right? We are going to try to put out kind of statewide high-level results. We did that before. Remember, in the prior version of the program, we're going to try to do that on Monday at some point. Don't have a time exact. We're going to try to do that on Monday, and when we put it out, everyone will be made aware. And then the plan is to publish the final proposal document itself a week from today, next Friday, and for a 7-day public comment window. And we'll look at the timeline in just a second right now, actually. So here's what things are looking like they're shaking on the immediate timeline for the BEAD program. So again, on Monday, we're going to try to put out high-level results across the state, and think high-level, okay? So projected grant amount statewide, technology breakdown statewide, average cost per location statewide, that kind of information on Monday. I have to go meet with NTIA in person in Chicago next week and walk through our program, how it operated, all the results, et cetera. Going to do that on Thursday of next week. And if things flow like we expect they should, we will get permission from NTIA to put out our public comment, our final proposal, a week from today. That's the plan. There's a 7-day public comment window, okay? So we're going to put it out and have 7 days for everyone to go look through it and read it and talk about it and submit comments to us if you feel so called to do so. And then probably going to try to do some version of a BEAD roadshow across the state a little bit. And there's not a whole lot of time, but if we can, I'm going to try to squeeze in something and kind of hit the road a little bit, invite people, find places for us to do something and kind of walk through the results and present it and talk about it and so forth, kind of at the same time, all right, during that window. And then the first week of September is when we're planning to then submit the document to NTIA for their approval. We're targeting September 2nd, but there's a little bit of flexibility there. How do things shake out from there? Okay. In theory, if Secretary Lutnick, he's publicly called for 90 days. All right. So he has said, look, by 90 days, we'll have decisions out. So what that looks like is, in theory, by December 4th, okay, NTIA should have their decisions done. Then what happens? Then we have to come back to the state side and go to the General Assembly, get their approval on the program. At that point, we would be able to execute grant agreements with the ISPs. Okay. Then in this particular program, which is different from the ones we've done before, there has to be an environmental review done for all the projects. Okay. So we have to check that box. And then at that point, construction can begin. Okay. So we're almost there. We're getting closer, but I try to be as transparent as possible. Our team tries to be as transparent as possible as often as we can. So this is what the time frame is looking like currently projected for the BEAD program. Okay. All right, so with that, we'll turn over to Cam for a few minutes before we get to the content from today. He's got updates on his side, plus a couple of additional slides on different topics, so we'll do that, and then we'll get into content for today. Good morning, Cam.
Good morning, Glenn. Good morning, everyone. Quick updates from me. We're looking for ways to help market the state broadband map. We know it's a tremendous asset, especially as the final proposal gets submitted and the projects start. The state broadband map is a great tool to determine if a particular location will be included in that build out, if they already are served by a federal award, or if they if they are part of another program and they have access to internet service. And so we'll develop assets, a social media graphic, a flyer to be printed out to give to our stakeholders to spread the word, post in high foot traffic areas, post on committee Facebook pages or personal Facebook page if that fits. So be on the lookout for that in the next couple of weeks. We're also working on a broadband affordability dashboard. I understand, you may understand that broadband affordability is after the availability. Affordability is going to be the next barrier to the impacts that we want to see. And so we're going to work on a dashboard, county affordable plan by county dashboard that's in a curing phase. And so again, be on the lookout for that sometime this month. Let's skip to the next slide. Quick notes on AI. The development of AI has been rapid over the last few years. With, I believe, the first GPT being released in 21-ish, and now we're on GPT-5, which is marketed as the most efficient, most knowledgeable version of the software. So just keeping updates on it. Latest flagship version is available now. Also, within our context, digital skills practitioners are starting to experiment, pilot digital AI in context of digital skills programming. It's a blog post from NDIA. And then there's a couple additional readings from Brookings Institute. One showing the AI economy and how by municipal area adoption has been for firms and workers. And there's also another Brookings article on the effects of AI in the context of firms and workers. So interesting reads there. Glenn, you can skip to the next slide. Additionally, I have a couple of funding opportunities, not through us. One, Delta Region Authority has a local capacity building funding opportunity that will close in September. It is a capacity building funding opportunity. I think it is for the purpose to enable our, I guess, Delta regional planning development districts in Arkansas specifically to apply for federal awards and other community support. Also, there is a Department of Labor industry-driven skills training fund availability. This is more of a short turnaround. It was released last week, I believe on the 6th or 7th, and it's going to be due in about 2 weeks, the week of Labor Day. So this also mentions the executive order on AI, and so interesting funding opportunity there if you guys are eligible. I think this is for entities that are within the WIOA process for clarity there. Let's skip to the next slide, Glenn. And I have the pleasure of introducing Kyla Waters. She's a project manager for the Arkansas Association of Community Colleges. Does a great job with the Arkansas Fiber Academy. And I want to pass the mic over to you, Kyla.
Well, thanks, Cam, and thanks, Glenn, for allowing me to be here today to talk about the Arkansas Fiber Academy. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Well, here we go. Okay, can you see my screen?
No, we can see you in the meeting.
Okay, well, it says I'm sharing. Let me try that again.
Yeah, Kyla, it was sharing, but it was showing the Teams meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go. Yeah,
there we go.
You're good. Okay.
Thank you. I don't use Teams a lot. I'm more familiar with Zoom, so apologies for those technical difficulties. So it's hard to believe I was here about a year ago to talk about the Arkansas Fiber Academy, and we've had some exciting changes happen since then. But I do want to start off with some context just so that everyone's on the same page. So some of this may be a review for some of you. But as Cam mentioned, I'm Kyla Waters. I'm with Arkansas Community Colleges. We are the statewide community college association, and all 22 public community colleges are members of our association, and their CEOs serve as our board members. Also joining me today is our new executive director, Dr. Colin Calloway. She's just here to observe, but I did want to let you know she's joining us today. So at ACC, I work as the Director of Workforce Initiatives, but for the purposes of this presentation for the Arkansas Fiber Academy, I do serve as the project manager and the sector convener. So just a little bit of history about how the Fiber Academy started. It started with an employer conversation. A group of employers came together with a need for workforce. They saw, down the road that there were going to be some workforce needs, so they came together with a conversation. They were already talking with their local community college about some of this training, but it all came together when the Office of Skills Development was included. If you're not familiar with the Office of Skills Development, they are a division under Workforce Connections now, which is a division under the Department of Commerce. So when they got involved, they formed a fiber, broadband, and telecommunications work group with those original employers, their community college partners, and other workforce stakeholders to come together to figure out how this training could be deployed around the state. So the Office of Skills Development pledged some funding to support the training and marketing of the programs. And then as the process went along, the curriculum was developed in partnership with the employers and the colleges And they settled on 3 occupations. They're listed on the screen: the aerial lineman, a tower technician, and an underground directional driller. We kicked off training in the spring of 2023, and that went along for about a year, a little over a year. And based on additional employer demand, 2 new programs were added in August of 2024, and that was the fiber optic technician and the fiber network engineer. So the investment of the Office of Skills Development is around, at this point, a little over $5 million. This is the 4th year of funding. It funds things: equipment, labs, student tools, instruction, marketing activities, everything that you can think of that would be required. Currently, the training is free to the students, and it's open to incumbent workers who want to upskill, new entrants to the workforce, people who are career changers. It's open to everyone at this point, as long as you are an Arkansas resident. I will say we have had some folks come from other states. It's just not free to them. So I just wanted to mention that. So just some photos of some of the things that the Office of Skills Development has supported. This is the aerial lineman program. Here you see a bucket truck. They have a couple of those. And then on the right is the pole yard, which was actually installed by an employer and donated to us by an employer. And I think they're on their 2nd set of poles at this point. Here we just have some of the tools in the aerial lineman program. And then on the right is the climbing gear. And that climbing gear goes with the student. It is, little did I know, climbing gear came in several different sizes. So the climbing gear is specific to the student. And so they are allowed to take that with them when they leave the program, along with a set of tools. Here's some of the equipment for the directional drilling program. If you're driving down I-40 or around the Morrilton area, you might see some of this equipment out front when training is going on. You can see a couple of drillers there, a vac system, and a mini excavator. This is the tower program. This is our student Laura over here on the left. This is inside where they practice mostly just the rope tying on all the ancillary things that happen in addition to climbing. They also practice, this is where they do their rescue practice. On the right, you'll see a tower. Again, there's Laura and our instructor, Chad. This is a tower that we rent. It's about 15 or 20 minutes from campus. It's very expensive to build a tower, and you need a lot of room. So we were fortunate to be able to find this and lease this. Here are some photos from the fiber optic technician program. On the left is the toolkit that students are provided with, and on the right are just some components. This one doesn't have a lot of large equipment. This one is more of a lab type setting, so there's not any fun pictures of folks climbing towers here. This is the fiber network engineer program. I believe that's Kara on the left, and I think it's Justin in the middle. I hope I got that right. He's also wearing a Arkansas Fiber Academy hat there in that photo. But this is just a picture of some of the equipment racks, plant components, Cisco equipment. All these things were donated by employers for this program. There's been a lot of employer engagement in this new program, and they have been very generous in donating equipment and consumables for the students to use. This is Janae on the left. This is also the toolkit that students take with them, and on the right is just a photo of some of those components in that toolkit. So in addition to the curriculum-specific certifications, some of these programs have some certifications embedded with some of the curriculum. We also provide a certificate of completion. This happens to be for the Broadband Essentials course, and that is a 40-hour safety course that precedes some of these specialty courses that we do. Again, this was employer requested. So just to be transparent, on the back, we provide all of the skills that the students have learned. both for employers and for students. We often find that students sometimes struggle with articulating what skills they actually gained, and so this is helpful and transparent for both employers and students. They would also receive a similar certificate for a specialty program that they complete as well. So a little bit of information about each program. This is the Tower Technician program. Again, there's our instructor, Chad, on the right, climbing that tower that's close to campus. So this is delivered by ASU Three Rivers on the Saline County Career Technical Campus on I-30. As you can see, it's pretty jam-packed. It's 4 weeks, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4. And it does include both the Broadband Essentials and the Telecommunications Tower courses together, back to back, and in that compressed amount of time. And students, again, leave with the tools and the climbing gear that they need to enter the workforce. The aerial lineman program, there's our student Zachary on the right. He was in the first cohort of the aerial lineman program. This is delivered by the University of Arkansas Cossatot at their DeQueen campus. Again, very compressed time period, 4 weeks, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's a long day. And again, it does include both the Broadband Essentials and the aerial lineman course. And they also leave, again, with those tools and climbing gear that you saw in the previous photo. Here's the underground directional drilling program. That is one of our employer partners demonstrating the driller there on the right. And this is delivered at the University of Arkansas Community College at Morrilton. This is also a 4-week program, Monday through Friday. However, it's a little bit different is they do deliver the Broadband Essentials course prior to delivering the underground course. They don't do those just exactly back to back. Here's one of the new programs that started in August of 2023. This is the Fiber Optic Technician program. That is Keegan, our instructor in the photo. And this is delivered by the University of Hope Texarkana on their Hope campus. So this one is a little different. This one is offered in the evening, 3 nights a week for 9 weeks. And the reason for that is Keegan has a full-time job. He works for Hope Water and Light and teaches in the evening for us. This curriculum that is being delivered in this particular program is from the Fiber Broadband Association. It's their Optic Path program. And students also leave with that Fiber Technician Toolkit that you saw earlier. And this is the very newest program, also a little bit later in August of 2024, is the Fiber Network Engineer. And there you see Justin again wearing his Arkansas Fiber Academy hat. This is also delivered by the University of Arkansas Cossatot. This is their second program, but however, this is on their Locksburg campus. This is a much longer, more intense program. It is 15 weeks, Monday through Thursday. And as I mentioned earlier, there's been a lot of employer engagement and employer donation in this program. So both Calyx University and the Juniper Learning Portal have been donated to this program for students, and they also use the Duraline Academy. And students leave with the set of tools needed for employment. So the training schedule, as I mentioned, is very compressed. It's quick. We're trying to get folks into the workforce as quickly as possible rather than stringing it out for a long period of time. We did find that in most cases, if we offered the Broadband Essentials and then immediately went into the specialty course, that improved student retention and completion. Sometimes if there's a break, we lose some students, life happens, they have other things going on. So we did learn that it was often helpful just to put those two things together back to back. We've also adjusted some of the instruction time on specific topics based on employer feedback. Employers mentioned they needed more time on something, less time on other things. So we're very flexible in that way, and always love to have employer feedback. As of June 30, we have trained 200 people in the specialty programs, and about 230 have completed the Broadband Essentials. So what we have learned is that some of those skills in the Broadband Essentials and even some in the specialty courses translate to other sectors. So sometimes folks will come in and just do the Broadband Essentials and go to work in another sector. which is still a win because employment is the end goal for all of these programs, whether they work in the broadband sector or whether they work somewhere else. That employment is the win. We also talk to students as much as we can after they leave us and when they're employed, and we like to know, was the training successful? Did it lead to an increase in your hourly wage? And in most cases, that's true. And again, some have almost doubled their pre-training hourly wage. So surprises, as I mentioned, some of this training is transferable to other industry sectors. And the other thing that we were not even thinking about, we were so focused on those, especially the first 3 original occupations, is we weren't thinking about how these skills can translate to multiple occupations within the broadband and telecommunications sector. We also found that we could leverage some of our other short-term training that we already have on campus that may not be broadband specific, but heavy equipment operation programs and CDL licensure also in demand in the broadband sector. So some of our students have done both. They've done the heavy equipment operator program and then done the directional drilling program. So folks have been able to leverage what we already have on campus as well. So on student recruitment, we knew that just because you build it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to come. So we wanted to make sure that we had a statewide reach. So we partnered with a very small marketing firm that was well known to us. It's run by Emily Newland, who was a former community college staff. And we have worked with her both at ACC. She's worked for the Division of Higher Education and others. So we knew of her work, and it continues to be great work. But how we leverage student recruitment is we use low-cost Facebook and Google ads, and I believe we're doing Instagram now as well. Those go out statewide, and then also geofenced, in a 50-mile radius around program locations. However, we know that we can't fill the workforce need with just within 50 miles of those locations. So that's why we also go statewide. The college social media networks are also leveraged. They have their own recruitment, so we use that as well. We've had some help from our Division of Higher Education. They have added these programs to their Explore AR Careers website, and they also run some social media posts for us. And then 2 other resources that you may or may not be aware of. Heartland Forward has a project called Connecting the Heartland, and they have a dashboard. And on that dashboard, they list our training programs and the schedules. And then they also have a job board that we use when our students are leaving the program. We also help them go out and check those job boards for jobs as well. And then some of you may be familiar with Broadband Nation. It's an arm of TIA. They came in and built an Arkansas landing page for us, and where they also list our training programs, job opportunities, and then they also have a lot of information about broadband careers and just helping folks understand where they can start and what the career pathway is in that sector. So what happens when someone clicks on one of those ads? That takes them directly to our website. You can see the address there, where they can fill out a form. You can't scroll, 2 seconds without seeing a button that says Contact a Recruiter. And when they click on that, it takes them to a very short form where we ask for their contact information. And then they can, self-select whether they're interested in a particular program, or they can just say they're unsure, or they can say they're interested in all of them. So those forms come directly to me, and I just take a look at those and try to figure out, where to send them based on, what is their self-selected interest, where do they live, just what makes sense. And then I send it to the college staff who follow up with those prospective students and just give them more information and help them get enrolled. So we do keep up with all of those prospects in a database. There's more than 1,500 since we started doing this in March of 23. And that database is available to the colleges as well, even if the student did not self-select or, show an interest in their program. But it's been really helpful when colleges have an upcoming class and they maybe have, space for 2. or 3, and they can go back to that list and access folks who were just interested in the sector, period. And they've been able to enroll some of those students as well. There's also an employer information form where they can fill that out, and that comes directly to me. Also, they can just contact me directly. There's also a spot at the bottom where we are keeping a place where employers can add their logo. So if you'd like to add your logo, happy to do that. If you just send it to me, we'll certainly put that on the website. We did some marketing materials as well. We do have a 30-second video. That's of the first 3 programs that we did. So that was a little bit earlier on. We also have some 15-second videos of each of the programs. Those are the ones that we use on Facebook and Instagram. We do not have the video quite ready for the fiber optic technician program, but that is coming very soon. We also have still photos of all the programs, as you've seen throughout this presentation. I've used those. The colleges use those. Those are available for anyone to use. We also have some program-specific flyers with QR codes that take folks directly to that interest form. And then we do swag for students. Sometimes that's the best advertising that there is for students to wear our swag and around in their communities. So some of these programs are very expensive. The directional drilling program has over $1 million in equipment alone. So it's hard to replicate these programs everywhere. So we have a little bit of help for students that don't live near the training sites, up to $10,000 per college to help with transportation and lodging. I do leave it up to the college to determine who's eligible for those dollars. They know those students much better than I do. But it doesn't pay for everything. It doesn't pay all costs, so students still have a little bit of skin in the game. As I mentioned, at the end of the program, our college staff, they help the graduates with job placement, anything from resume writing to helping them articulate their skills on job applications and connecting, using the same words as you might find in a job posting, and then also connecting to their employer partners. So there's been challenges. Not everything's been, super easy. So, there's always a challenge of getting folks who show interest to enrollment, as evidenced by over 1,500 interest forms with, about 230 in enrollment. So that's a little bit of a challenge that we deal with. And employment opportunities for graduates, those have ebbed and flowed over the last couple of years. So we're always looking for more employment opportunities and being able to place our graduates in jobs, because as I mentioned, that's the end goal. Finding instructors is challenging. Fortunately, right now we have a full slate of really great instructors, but if we were to lose one, it is certainly a challenge to find another one. We'd love to have more employer engagement in training programs. We know that makes for the best training program when we have your feedback and you give us continuous improvement. We also love for employers to come talk to students. You get, you sort of get first pick of the students because, you've come in and you've met them. But also it's just, I think, really helpful to show students what the career pathway could be. They could start here, and where could they go in the industry, and how do they get there, what's the next step. I think that's really important for students to know. Another challenge has been the somewhat nomadic nature of the sector. That has made us lose a few students when they found out they weren't going to be able to be home for their children's ball games and things like that. And then the final one, which is always the challenge, is finding sustainable funding for training programs. We had really great plans of expansion and, replicating some of these programs across the state. However, that, became not as easy to do when that non-deployment funding was clawed back. So we're spending the next year, that now that the Office of Skills Development has stepped in for that 4th year of funding, we are spending the next year working on sustainable funding so that we can keep this training going. All right, well, that is it for me. I'm happy to take any questions. Here's my contact information as well if you'd like to follow up with me afterwards.
Thank you, Kyla. I think you had one question from Jeff Collins. I'll just read it.
Yeah.
Is the area lineman program for work at electrical power utilities?
No, that's different. Electrical, so high voltage lineman is different than area lineman, but we do have 2 high voltage lineman programs in the state if you're interested in those. One's at Pulaski Tech and one is at ASU Newport. There is, and I'm going to say something that I don't completely understand, but there is a space between the line for, the aerial linemen that they work on, and then, up above is the electrical line. Although they may be on the same pole, they're different. They're not the same.
Okay, we'll hang out for a bit. I just want to reiterate that the BEAD public comment period will start next Friday. It'll be open for 7 days until the 29th. If we don't have any questions in the next couple of minutes, we'll go ahead and cut the meeting. Allie Milligan from Communities Unlimited is wanting to invite you all to their cybersecurity training. They're hosting on the 28th. It's going to be a remote training via Zoom. So all who are interested will have the link to join, register and join. Okay, hang on for one more minute. Don't have any questions?
Hey, Cam, if I could,
Yeah.
just want to respond to Jeff. Yeah, the fiber optics program is a little bit easier to sort of lift and shift. And so we have been able to run a course at UAPB, even though it's in Hope. And there again, that's the instructor has agreed to do that travel. But if we could find more instructors, we might be able to lift and shift that program to other places. So, but appreciate you calling that out, Jeff.
Thank you for attending ABLN today. Appreciate your time. Have a great weekend. Officially adjourned the meeting.